Hey guys, time for another walk and talk. And the video down below is from Fox News. This was a stream of Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi talking about how the House is going to proceed with articles of impeachment. And I may have already mentioned this in the previous video regarding Trump, the Ukraine, Joe Biden, and all that. So I have a suspicion that Trump himself filed the whistleblower complaint, which essentially triggered the events that we're seeing happen today. Nobody was talking a bit about the Ukraine before, and for very good reason. The media had never really wanted to talk about the Ukraine because of the difference between Obama's and Trump's treatment of the Ukraine. And you have to go ahead and flash back to when Ben Shapiro was on Real Time with Bill Maher. He had said that Trump has been harder on the Russians, not in terms of rhetoric, but in terms of actual military action. As we know, Russian soldiers have been killed in Syria by American military personnel. And we also know that Trump has armed the Ukraine with an array of weapons, everything from small arms to anti-tank weapons, possibly other things that I'm not mentioning right now. So yes, he has been harder on Russia, and that was the whole reason why the Ukraine has not been talked about in the mainstream media, because it would ruin their narrative. Because the narrative goes, the Orange Man is controlled by Putin. He's a Russian agent, and he's also a racist. But that's, like I said, it's all about the dartboard of Orange Man bad. It's like, what do we say today to push the message of Orange Man bad? So anyways, going back to the main story, I really do believe that Trump himself filed the whistleblower complaint. It would make sense that he would do that. And number one, he could do it under full anonymity. Number two, it would get the media talking about the Ukraine, which they're talking about now. And it just so happens that Joe Biden's son, Hunter, had a business venture over there in the Ukraine. I believe it was a energy venture, maybe having to do with oil. Please fact check me on that. Joe Biden was made aware of the fact that a Ukrainian prosecutor was going to indict his son Hunter on several charges. And obviously Joe Biden didn't want to see his son go to prison. A Ukrainian prison would be pretty nasty. That's my judgment there. So he said, okay, well, I basically said, hey, I got the guy fired. And he bragged about it. He bragged about it too during a meeting on a panel with CFR members. That's the Council of Foreign Affairs, or rather Foreign Relations. And the media never would have talked about that unless Trump had been allegedly implicated in some wrongdoing involving the Ukraine. Now the narrative is, well, Trump talked to President Zelensky, Volodymyr Zelensky, I think is his name. It's like a kind of a hard name to say, but anyways, he said, hey, if you don't dig up dirt on Joe Biden, I'm not going to give you any more military aid. And the transcript was released today. We all know that's not exactly what was said. And we all know that Joe Biden has done his damnedest to bury this story. It's pretty simple, folks. Whatever Trump does right, they're going to say, oh, it's Obama's. Obama set the stage for that, for example, with the economy. And whenever somebody on Obama's side does something wrong, well, they're going to say, well, that's what Trump did. No, we didn't do it. It was actually Trump. And that's exactly what's happening with the Ukraine. Nancy Pelosi has come out and she said, well, we want to impeach the president because of his misconduct regarding a complaint from a whistleblower who actually might turn out to be himself. I mean, what are they going to do when they find out? Well, I don't know if they're going to find out that, but what would they do if that were the case, hypothetically? Well, they've really just shot themselves in the foot, because now the alternative media, we're raising awareness regarding Joe Biden, his son Hunter Biden in the Ukraine. And we obviously know there's some wrongdoing there. We know that Joe Biden buried the investigation through bribery, essentially. Just told that prosecutor, he said, hey, hit the road, Jack. And that's exactly what happened. The guy got fired. And some other limp-wristed fellow got on the case and said, oh, there's nothing there. Hunter didn't do anything wrong. So that's one thing. Obviously Joe Biden, he's trying to run for president in 2020. I mean, he's got a laundry list of problems, folks. Anything from his mental health, from his compromising behavior that has been caught on film, mind you, and just a whole laundry list of things. I mean, Joe Biden is one of the most corrupt people in D.C. He has been. I mean, he's been in politics for nearly 40 years. The guy is just corruption personified. So that's one thing. But the second thing is, Pelosi, she just made a huge mistake. She is going to prop up Trump like Bill Clinton was propped up back when he was impeached for essentially getting a blowjob. And when Bill Clinton left office, I think his approval rating was like in the 90s, which is pretty unheard of. Because they were like, well, this, come on. You're going to impeach him for something like that. Like, let's be real, folks. Bill Clinton is a war criminal. He's a very bad person. I mean, he's done a lot of horrible things. I think we all know that. But I think, the general public, when they didn't, most of them don't have time to dig into that kind of thing. They say, well, he got a blowjob from this, Lewinsky chick, and got semen on her dress. I mean, the whole thing was it was straight out of the Clown World script. Honestly, it's like an Onion story or a Monty Python skit. And that's kind of what we're dealing with now. There's actually another story I want to cover regarding that. I mean, like, seriously, folks, we are living in a clown world. I mean, a lot of the news stories that are coming out, it's like, is this real or satire, honestly? But Pelosi, she's made a huge mistake, because now Trump is going to use this to his advantage, which he should. He's obviously trying to get reelected. He's going to get reelected, and I think this was one of the many final nails in the coffin of the Democrats' hope of gaining the presidency in 2020, which they're not. I mean, there's so many different reasons why they're not going to. I'd say one of the reasons is they haven't really thrown out a good field of candidates. I mean, seriously, folks, propping up Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders to a degree. I mean, come on. It's just, that's really, you just kind of have to ask yourself, is this really the best they can do? And like I said in my previous video, of course they're going to, disregard the candidates that actually do have a shot at beating Trump. When it comes to Andrew Yang on policy, it's different from his policy, but it's a very stark contrast. It would at least get people talking about UBI and all that stuff. But no, they don't want to, try something new. They just want to stick to their old losing ways. Because the reality is with the Democrats, I mean, they have been cheating in elections for umpteen years. And we saw that during the midterms. And I've brought up this point before. It's like during the midterms, you didn't hear anything about election interference. No, of course not, because the Democrats knew they were going to win. Why would they? Why would they talk about Russia or China, any other country trying to interfere? Disregard the fact that we interfere in elections all over the world. We have been for so many years. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge mistake that Nancy Pelosi's making. I think she knows this too. And Sticks brought up a really good point this morning. I mean, he was talking about how, Nancy Pelosi, she can say this. She can say that Trump is eligible for impeachment because he did something wrong, I guess. Maybe ethically wrong, sure, at the most. But has he committed any crime? Has he committed a misdemeanor? Well, the answer is no, and that's really the only reasonable way to go about impeachment proceedings. If your president is a criminal, which a lot of them have been in the past, but they've been protected, then yes, they are eligible for impeachment. Trump didn't do anything wrong, and the transcript pretty much it clears him. It clears him. He's got to be laughing his ass off now. This is exactly what he wanted. He wanted the Democrats to go on with impeachment because it's going to make them look bad. It's beating a dead horse because all the people that are against Trump, they've been talking about impeachment forever. What's his name? Representative Al Green from Texas. Billionaire Tom Steyer. I'm sure there's been a lot of Hollywood people that have said, "Oh, he should be impeached." Impeach Blumph before he goes nuclear drumph. Anyways, it's a clown show, folks, and it's very entertaining. But I think I've kind of ran out of points to make. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you in a couple minutes. Goodbye.